Speaking of international stuff, oh, look who's on the telephone. It is the chairman of the Intel Committee from the House of Representatives. You know him better as your brother Devin Nunes. How are you, sir?
Ray, I'm doing well. Thanks for last night. You did a great job.
Well, that's why you're here, to talk about this. I got to tell everybody. I saw it last night, this movie, Dead Harvest. I was telling John and Christina, this is every bit as good as a fictional movie you would pay your $10 at a theater to go down and sit and be entertained by, even though it's one of the most depressing things I've ever seen. But it's outstanding, Devin.
I agree with you, Ray, and it's really, for me, it's very disturbing, right? Because I've lived this, and I've been in these wars with you, and I don't even really like watching it. But I do think it's an important piece. And I was happy to see there were a lot of FFA students there and ag students and young people. And we had a lot of people that came up afterwards that they want to get copies of it because they want to take it back to their classroom. So I feel it has an impact, even though it's, as you said, it does keep the viewer watching it, but it is quite disturbing and just very haunting.
Nothing in it has been exaggerated. It's the truth. But the way it's put together, even with the music and the production, and I mean, people were crying, for crying out loud. It is really an amazing, amazing piece. You think we could, we had this premiere last night down on your turf there in Visalia. You think we can arrange a Fresno one?
I told, we had somebody come up and they wanted to show it down in Bakersfield, and from my point of view, I think the producer did a great job. They have this the production company now is Alliance to Restore California, so they picked it up and they're going to produce it. They're going to actually, so the way I understand it is, talking to the producer, they actually used last night to kind of gauge the audience. Yeah. And so a lot of people that were there, they probably don't know. They were interviewed by different people that were there just to get their feedback. And then there were some people up in the camera guy was up at the top, and he was kind of watching the reaction to that the audience had. And they're going to make some tweaks to the film based on the premiere last night. So I think by the end of next week, they're probably going to have this thing dialed in and finished.
Well, the world now knows what my favorite word is that I can't say on the radio thanks to this film. That shocked me. Oh, boy, Ray's got a potty mouth. But it was it was in the heat of battle.
If this goes on air on any of the local stations or anything, they're clearly going to have to bleep that part out.
There's going to be a big bleep there, a big bleep. But if to the audience, you people, I would love, well, Devin's on the phone. If you were there last night and you saw this, call us up right now. Right now, give us a critique at 490-5858, 800-776-5858. There were just under 1,000 of you there, so certainly there's some people listening right now that were at the event last night, saw the movie, want to know what you thought of it. But Ray McNally did an outstanding job. And you can sure tell by the quality of this production. We know why he's an Emmy Award winner. It's just brilliant stuff.
Yeah, when he first was talking to me about the problems with the water problems, I gave him a copy of that water essay that I wrote, and he came down here, didn't believe it, and then ended up spending all the time. And I do, it was amazing that they were able to take years and years of these water wars and put it into a short documentary film that's so impactful, right? Because a lot of this is, you start talking about acre feet, gallons of water, water storage, water transfers, water movement. It bores the heck out of people, and they just, the eyes glaze over and say, yeah, whatever, my water's coming out of my faucet. But I think what Ray McNally's able to do is he's able to bring the viewer in and tell our story. And that's what I said last night to the audience, that no one's going to tell our story for us. We have to do it. And that's one of the things I realized just, making my way around the state, even though with this horrible situation with all these cities having to cut back their water usage, you still have all the people in California don't have a clue. And that was really a wake-up call to me. And I thought what Ray McNally did with his team, they put a fresh set of eyes on this and took our valley's story and put it so that this can really go globally. I think this will do well in different film festivals and that sort of thing, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's it's bound to be an award winner on its own. You throw it into Sundance and a number of these film festivals, and it will do very, very well, strictly because of the story that's told and how it's been produced. But we do a great job preaching to the choir, as I always say. Sure, we like to have a Fresno premiere, a Bakersfield premiere. We already know all this stuff. But yes, this is definitely going to be the piece that will go national and tell our story to the rest of the country with a great level of effectiveness. And I'm so happy to see there's finally something out there that we can use as a viable vehicle that's entertaining from the aspect it will keep you riveted in your seat or your chair or your couch or whatever, as depressing as it is. But it's of that caliber, and we've got to just get it out to every state in the union, Let me grab a couple of calls while you're here, Devin. Okay. Phil, go ahead. You're on KMJ. Hi.
Hi. I was at the premiere last night, and I thought it was a fantastic beginning to this campaign.
Great.
I would like to see this thing spread all over the U.S., and everybody needs to know. So
you thought it was worthy of the hype and all the effort that went into it?
Oh, more than worthy. He did a great job, and you guys did a great job last night also.
Well, thank you, and thank you for attending, Phil.
All right.
What do you think the most effective pieces to the film are?
I think that, of course, the tearing the crops out is probably the most effective thing, but I think the idea of actually writing down on the screen some of the poignant parts of this campaign of getting the dams built and getting the water structure identified and be able to move this water around. And also, I think we ought to take the money away from the train and give it to the dams.
Yeah, well, been talking about that.
And I'm asking you, Phil, this because I know I just spoke to Ray McNally, the producer. He stayed in Visalia last night, so he's driving back north. So I know he's listening right now because they're actually going to go in this weekend based on the feedback that they got from last night, and I think anything that they hear on the show here, they're going to look at how to change a few things, how to add a few things, and they may actually come back and do a few interviews. So that's why I'm asking you this.
Phil, thanks for the input. We appreciate it. Anybody else we'd like to hear as well, too. 490-5858. The one thing that got to my lady friend last night was all of the shots of the shantytown out near Mendota and all of that. That was portrayed in a very poignant but scary way.
Yeah, and Father Dan, who's been a guest on your show before, Ray, you can tell, he's just very bothered by it. It's just a very disturbing situation out there.
I just hope this thing doesn't stall in terms of just getting it out there. So I don't know what the plan of attack is to get it out there, but as soon as that's been, chiseled in stone, you got to let me know, and I can let the world know. And if it needs more money, we'll go get it. We'll go get the damn money. I assure you, and I assure you, Ray, if you're listening, we'll find you the money.
Well, they now I think once they finalize the product and then they get, then of course they'll put it up, they'll get a website, and then they'll try to place it in different locations. And then that'll be a time for people to, they'll be able to donate money, buy DVDs, buy copies or what have you. And that'll be a way that people can give money because, they have to cover their costs for this. They didn't, I know they did this, because they kind of, they want to win awards, clearly, but at the same time, they've got a lot of money invested into this product, and then it takes money to get it into Los Angeles and San Francisco media markets.
Right. We do have a number of calls here. We're going to get to you. 490-5858. Right after we pay the bills at News Talk 580, 105.9 KMJ. Devin Nunes is here. Obviously a big part of this film that we saw last night at Visalia. We will continue on KMJ, and we appreciate your input this morning a lot, especially if you were there last night. We'll be back to you right after this.
Ray Appleton is on KMJ.
Let's grab a couple of more calls. You folks that were there last night at the Fox Theater in Visalia saw the premiere of Dead Harvest. That's the name of the movie, the film. And we're not getting the title out there enough. That's my fault. I just keep calling it that movie. Dead Harvest is the name of this production. Carl in Visalia, go right ahead, please.
Raymond Ralph, thank you very much, by the way, for the premiere here in Visalia last night. I watched it. I thought it was very effective. Mrs. Musson was sitting right in front of me down in the aisles, and she said, she turned around and said, do you think they'll ever show this in universities? And I said, no, they don't want the truth to come out. But my point to the screener was, and you guys were, during the discussion, you talked about, were there any other examples of something like this ever happening where government or somebody like that took water away and basically denuded an area? And I thought, my thought to myself, you guys, Owens Valley, that would be a perfect example. McNally can go in. He can go in and he can show Owens Valley and, go back through the archives, show what it was and what it now is when you have a large metropolitan area with lots of people and a lot of ignorance taking water away for, short-term monetary gain at the expense of long-term food and livelihood issues.
That's not a bad idea.
And I thought, why don't they show that as well? Because, see, that goes from start to finish. I mean, that shows you, it's my understanding that back around the early 1900s, Owens Valley was almost more productive per acre than San Joaquin Valley. And now it's dead.
Yeah.
And that right there could be, visions of the future as to what could happen if we don't get our act together. Leave your comments off the air. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Yeah. Devin, what do you think?
Well, there's two other examples in recent modern history, too. That is, Saddam Hussein used water as a weapon to keep it from his, anytime he had political problems, keeping Iraq together. And also, Robert Mugabe still does it today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just a couple other ideas.
That's an area that we talked about last night. For those of you who weren't there, where Victor Davis Hanson really jumped in and shed some history on us that was pretty enlightening. Back to the phones. Nick, it's all yours. What'd you think?
Well, thank you for taking my call. And Congressman and Ray, you guys did an excellent job. And what really struck me was the use of President Kennedy in the beginning and at the end.
I got to add this. I didn't know that those bits with Kennedy were in there. I was a 12-year-old Boy Scout. I was a part of the honor guard at that event. So, I was there with Kennedy when they were dedicating that project up the road.
Yeah. Well, I live in Visalia, so it was real easy. I farm in Kerman, California, and I'm sitting on a tractor right now as we speak.
God bless you.
But last night, I couldn't speak. My sister and my wife went with me. Couldn't speak because I was so angry, angry. Yeah. And I would like to ask the congressman, since we saw this film and everything, what can we now do? What's in plan for us? I don't know where to start. Give me some direction.
So the point that we have that I've come to realize is that we will not win this fight until we win the hearts and minds and the people on the coast. And there's actually polling data that now exists that people on the coast, they don't know exactly what's wrong, but they support more storage. They are in favor of choosing people over fish in times of drought. So we have the people of California now on our side in their own mind, but they just don't understand how bad the crisis is here, and they don't understand the cause of the crisis and the root, the root of the evil here. And that's one of the things that and I agree with you too, that to me it's very disturbing. I just don't like watching it because it just infuriates me. But when you move forward from here, we have to be able to tell our story, and that's what this is about. So I think once they finalize the film, when they make the few changes and technical corrections they're going to make, then they'll have it up and going. This Alliance to Restore California, they're going to pick up the film, they're going to market the film. And I believe that a lot of the agriculture groups, the big, and the big companies who supply this area, whether it be the tractor companies, the fertilizer companies, they need to get behind a product like this, because one thing that we can do is, through social media, we can get this out there far and wide. Things like putting it on Netflix, for example. This is all things that, look, and I'm not a film producer and I'm not a marketer, so, I'd have to talk to those guys, but that's kind of the plan. That's where to go from here. But I just thought it was important to premiere it here because just to get people's reaction to it.
Yeah. Nick, thank you. And keep on keeping on out there, brother. It's a powerful piece. Dead Harvest, everybody. It's just a powerful, powerful piece. First time I'd seen it all the way through. Was that the first time you'd seen it all the way through, Devin?
I actually saw it that morning when they were getting we went over there to do kind of a run-through, set up the chairs and all that, and they were getting the color wasn't exactly right, the sound wasn't exactly right, but that was the first time I'd seen it all the way through. I saw a rough cut of it, kind of a first cut, about a month ago, but there were a lot of pieces that weren't in it at that time, and I knew from that point that this was going to be very, very good. And I think just some of the things that they put in there at the end, I think, are very powerful.
Yeah, I would like to see whatever, the tweaks, whatever it is that Ray's going to be doing next. I would like to see that version of it as well, and I'm sure I will. But the important piece is to get it out there. And the important piece, as Devin was saying, is for all of these, everybody who's in this industry, and from retail, wholesale, those of you in the fields, and the farm groups that can't even really get together behind a single cause when it comes to the water wars. Everybody needs to drop whatever little piece of acrimony they have with each other over this battle, which is frustrating the hell out of all of us, and come together to support this particular piece and do whatever we need to do to make sure it gets out there in all 50 states. This would be the one time everybody can gather under the white flag and say, we're just going to get this done, we're going to support this, and this piece will do the talking for us, and then after it's out there, the rest will happen naturally, I'm sure, once everybody sees this.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of their goal, really, for this, right, and I think that's what, this tells the story, and it talks about the solutions. It talks that there's plenty of water in California. And at least it can help focus everybody. I had a lot of people who came up to me afterwards and say they didn't realize that was how the water system worked. They just, there was just, a lot of people that live in the cities, haven't been out on farms, even here in the valley, don't know how it works. So I thought I think you walk away from it, someone who, whether you know a lot or a little, you learn something from watching the film.
And I thought it really did a great job in simplified terms of telling the fish story, smelt and salmon. Really good job of simplifying that so anybody would understand exactly what has happened, what the history of that has been, what we're going through now, and how both of those species in terms of, the Delta and restoring the San Joaquin, that's a dead issue. It's a dead issue. And I mean literally dead.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, good stuff. Thank you for getting behind that, Devin. And thanks for putting the thing together last night at Visalia. It was really outstanding. And stay close. Let me know when I need to get the word out on, how everybody else can get involved with this thing and see it. Hopefully we can get something done here in Fresno so people will have a shot at it, and we'll just take it from there.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that, in Fresno, if somebody wanted to put something on, I think, of course I'd be glad to help, and I know you'd help, Ray. So.
I'd put my money behind it. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's a fabulous idea once they get this finalized.
All right. Thanks for your time this morning. Thanks again for last night, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you, Ray. Thanks for everybody who showed up.
Yeah. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
That was an outstanding piece last night. Rather than talk it to death, I'm just going to wait for a time where you can see it. Dead Harvest is what it's called. And it's just riveting. It's just riveting. Much better than I thought it could possibly be. And my expectations were very high. And my expectations were exceeded.